It was a couple weeks ago that the number 2 overall pick, the Baltimore Orioles, they took Heston Kjerstad out of Arkansas. And for more on that, we bring in John Meoli from the Baltimore Sun, who joins us here on the Williams Tractor Hotline on Ruscin Zach. John, how you doing?
I'm well. How's it going out there?
Doing good. Appreciate the time with us today. So, first off, just the Orioles organization. What made them pull the trigger at number 2 with this pick?
Well, there's obviously, there were a lot of candidates after Spencer Torkelson sent at number 1 overall. Everyone pretty much thought he was going to go there. And I think the way that the Orioles saw it, they saw a lot of good players with very different skill sets. I think that the separator between someone like Austin Martin, Heston Kjerstad, Asa Lacy, Nick Gonzalez, all those players were there. If the Orioles, know that the hardest thing to develop is, a legitimate power bat. And they saw a chance to go get one in the draft to save a little money for other players while doing it. And ultimately, I think they thought that the power and the way that can reliably be projected out when you have someone with as much of a college track record as Heston has, I think that kind of just sold them on, this being one of the safer and smarter ways to go about a number 2 pick in a draft like this.
There's no question that Heston's a great hitter, but one of the questions that we had when he's going through his college career is, what's his natural position? Is he a corner outfielder? Is he a first baseman? The Orioles are sort of in a rebuild, rebuilding through their farm system. Where do they plan to at least start him, and is he projected as corner, first base? Where are they going to play him?
Yeah, it seems like they're going to have him out in right field at least to start. One of the things that the Orioles are not stored on by any stretch, carrying over from the last front office are those corner outfield first base types. They had Trey Mancini, probably their best hitter now, already in the pipeline when they re-signed Chris Davis. Some of their top prospects are those, corner-ish type guys, but none of them can hit. I think the total package with Heston Kjerstad is something that will put him certainly at the top of the pecking order as they're trying to shake down, who rates where, who they project to be, man in right field at Camden Yards in 3-4 years' time. I don't think that if his development goes the way they're expecting, that anyone's going to challenge for just being a guy you could batting third, playing right with every single day in 10.
We're talking with John Meoli from the Baltimore Sun here on Ruscin Zach. Interested looking at your piece that folks can read, and we've sent out the link on our Twitter page about the lessons that Heston learned growing up with his parents' distilled water and tea shop there in Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah, I got to admit I didn't have a ton of background on that, and we have one of the people who kind of run the show in our newsroom does a great job with social media and stuff. It's from Amarillo, and I would ask her, I was like, "You think that's a thing?" And I got a full rundown that it is a thing. The Water Still, their company, is one of the OGs of the area and what's a burgeoning field, she said. And, everyone I talked to basically said, this kid's just blue collar. He gets it from his parents. They work hard. A lot of the cliche type stuff, but that stuff, when you hear it enough, is a true, archetype of a player, archetype of a person. Those are the type of people who, when you have those kinds of, high stakes, high draft picks, you want to bet on someone who is going to, do everything they can to make it work for you. And, the Orioles front office, with their time with the Houston Astros, they used a couple of those picks on players that it didn't work out for, and I think they learned a lot, and they know how important, a person with a strong background and a work ethic and the desire to not only do it, but also the ability to motivate themselves to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to show you. I think that's really important to them. And I think that it was interesting to hear, his mom basically asked her, if he wasn't a baseball player, what would he be doing? And she said, he'd be working here with us. He has a mind for the business. He always wants to help out, and he wants, it's a hard-working family, and I think he fit right into that.
One of the there's a bit of a pipeline now starting between Fayetteville and the Baltimore Orioles farm system. Blaine Knight, a couple of years ago, you had a chance to talk to Dave Van Horn. How much of a factor was Van Horn in selling Heston to the Orioles?
Well, I think he was definitely a factor. I spoke to the Orioles scout there in that area. Ken Guthrie, he's got some of that North Texas area, and then Arkansas, and he's in Oklahoma as well. So he's been in that area for a long time in the game, and it's one of those old school things. It's hard to do, especially now, given the limitations on travel and stuff. But Ken Guthrie was a regular around the program, and I think that it seemed like Dave Van Horn's the type of guy who, A, he liked Heston a lot, and B, he's going to give it to you straight. And they've had a lot of good players come through there. I know that for a fact, and I know that there's a lot of background between both, Coach Van Horn and Ken Guthrie and the Orioles in general to say, this is a guy who's done it at a high level here for 2+ years, and it would have been 3 full years if everything hadn't gone sideways this year. So I think that there was a lot of trust developed over that time, both in the player, the play itself on the field, and those around him.
We're talking with John Meoli from the Baltimore Sun here on Ruscin and Zach. I think you alluded to this a little earlier, but let's dig in a little deeper on possible timeline on when we could possibly see Heston Kjerstad in an Orioles in a big league uniform. People, it's 5 years ago today, coincidentally, John, that Andrew Benintendi won his Golden Spikes Award at Arkansas, and we know it didn't take him long when he got with the Red Sox to be with the big club. What's kind of the pecking order, the plans for Heston with the big club with Baltimore?
Yeah, so much is kind of up in the air as to what this year will look like for all the minor league players, really, especially Heston, those first year guys. I mean, last year the Orioles took Adley Rutschman first overall. He had mono around the time he was drafted, so he didn't get into games until probably the end of July, and then he went really quickly, through the complex league. Short A, he ended in the full season, A-ball club, and he was probably going to start around Double-A this year, and that would have put him probably in line to start Triple-A next year and be in the big leagues essentially 2 years after he was drafted. I think that that's probably, given that there's no baseball played this year to this point for the minor leaguers, and who knows what's going to happen, that might be a little aggressive. I think you'll see someone like Heston start, the Orioles, high A, low A teams, depending on how aggressive they want to be with that, and basically give him 2 full minor league seasons, because he's probably not going to get the kind of regular introduction to professional baseball and everything they want to be doing this year. I would say that probably you might see him pushing for something, knocking on the big league door. I guess it would be the end of 2022, but this is also a team that is not necessarily, in the position those Red Sox teams were, where, they had a high pick and they had a really talented player in their system, and they just shot him through to come join a team that was, trying to win World Series, and they ultimately helped them do that. The Orioles are not in that position and probably won't be for a few years, so I think they're going to be able to slow play it a little bit.
You're closer to this than we are, and with yesterday's news where, the commissioner sends down, the 60-game proposal to start sometime around July 24th, what are you hearing around sort of the Orioles, Major League Baseball, that this thing actually has a chance to get off the ground in a month?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like everything, when it comes to this virus and every planning around it. People have spent so long doing contingency plans, and you get them all in place, and you don't know what is going to happen a week, a month, 2 months from now to make it so that all those can be executed. From what it seems, the players are just getting ready, or all the league needs is for the players to say, yeah, we're good. We could be at spring training, quote unquote, on July 1st, and then we'll get going. And I think it seems like they're going to try it. With all this stuff, it's very, tenuous. You remember the NBA got shut down for one positive test, and all sports shut down pretty soon thereafter. A lot of the plans that are made now are going to have to live with the idea that there are going to be positive tests and people are going to get this. And you wonder whether it's a team like the Orioles, any team, what do you do with the minor leaguers? There's a lot of stuff to be worked out, but I think that the players giving assent to the league that you can get going and we can actually start this will allow a lot of those questions to be answered. And I think everyone's pretty ready to start being able to figure that out and put some stuff in writing.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with all that. Of course, everybody's paying close attention. John Meoli from the Baltimore Sun with us here on Ruscin and Zach. John, thanks so much for the time this afternoon. We appreciate it.
All right, welcome. Have a good one, guys.
All right, John and all our guests, join us here on the Williams Tractor Hotline on Ruscin and Zach.